I'm gonna provide you guys with a quick update on main markets such as the euro dollar and Bitcoin, but also crude oil, DAX 30, and gold. And before we start, as always, I need to stress that trading financial markets is unfortunately risky, and there's a genuine risk that we'll lose all of our invested money. So click here on risk disclosure if you're new to trading, before you actually do any sort of trading. Okay, so if you're new to this is the live trading room, and usually at this time of the day at 9 a.m. London time, we usually host a live webinar. Today, of course, is a little bit later. Sorry for that. There's a lot of traffic getting to the office today, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna start out, and we're gonna start out with the euro. So this is the euro, and this is a 4-hour chart you're looking at. And as you know, I've been bullish here for this market to head to the upside, and now we reached profit targets that we discussed over the last few days and weeks, and the market could potentially push to the downside. I just took a simple Fibonacci from the latest low or swing low down here at 1911 all the way to the latest swing high, which is 123. Now it doesn't need to tumble down like today, but I think it's gonna probably stay a little bit sideways, and if it goes down to these lows here around 21-24, I do suspect traders are probably going to look to rebuild their bullish positions and then try to target this high again, and then eventually move up to 123.61 and maybe all the way up to 125.64. So I remain bullish. I want to buy, but I want to buy on a dip. I don't want to buy up here. The alternative is that the market just trades sideways here over the next few days, and then when we have enough of a high, maybe like a double top or a triple top, so actually double tops is the only thing we can see here. It's a triple top. We could potentially look for a break to the upside. Right now though, as you can see, the market is just pulling back. Now this is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin unfortunately today traded below the key level, and it's not just Bitcoin. If you've done any crypto investing, you already know what's going on. Literally all the coins are down big time. Bitcoin today down with 12% right now. This is Monero down with 18, Dash down with 16, Bitcoin Gold down with 20, Litecoin down with 14. This is NEM. This is Ripple that a lot of people know about, at $135 per coin right now. So all of these coins dropping quite strongly right now, and I think this is like we'll see more weakness at least in the next day or two, and then maybe the market will slowly look to rebuild its long positions, and I'm gonna explain to you why as soon as we cover all the main markets. But for now, here, if one is long, I was long. I bought down here actually, slightly here in December, and I was keeping that position for quite some time. And now we reached my key level, so I got out to limit, losses. Now we haven't necessarily breached the low 100% here, but it is at the low, and I think it makes sense, to at least abandon the bullish view for now. And then what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna observe these lows here, lower highs, and this market for now, and I'm gonna explain to you as I say soon. I think it's still in some sort of correction. Maybe just needs a steeper correction. 50% correction or like that isn't strange in any way. So if Bitcoin moves down to maybe the low here at $9,000, I think that could be it. It has had similar corrections and bad periods in the past, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is gonna bottom out here. But I know this though: if it manages to trade below 11,919, which we're right now, if it manages to establish itself below this level, I think this market could potentially move to the downside. And in my case here, I'm just stepping off, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to eventually, when this downtrend ends, I'm going to try to get involved again. Now let's continue with all the different markets that we usually cover, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the coin market in general in the next few minutes. Now this is West Texas crude oil. The market is at 61. 61 is the last interesting low. The market is, trading sideways here, and maybe it'll go down again, and then maybe tomorrow or something like that, after a pullback, we go long on the break, or at least I think the market is going to go long on the break. Doesn't mean that you guys should go long necessarily, but I think if we take out this high after more consolidation, again, 2-3 days from now, this could potentially push to the upside. The alternative, which is what I prefer, is that I do think we need a little bit of a shakeout and potentially move down 62.45. Which is pretty much the prior breakout and the same entry we had a few days ago. And then from these levels, I think traders again will look to rebuild their positions, and I think traders will be happy to rebuild positions as long as you're above 61. Here's gold. In gold, as with the euro and the pound and the Aussie and the New Zealand and literally anything that has to do with the dollar is correcting. So fib from the low to the high, this is the first fib, 50 fib, third fib. Usually we're just gonna try to bounce from these levels. I'm watching the level between the 50 and 38% correction. That level is 1,328. I think around these levels, maybe a little bit of a squeeze down to 1,320. I think in this little section, I think the market's going to try to bounce, and then it's probably going to head to the upside. Now, this is the DAX 30. And the DAX 30 is bullish, right? It moved all the way up to cut the high, but if you look at it from a bigger picture perspective, it's just been turning sideways. Most likely because of the situation with the euro. The euro keeps on gaining, making it more difficult for German producers and exporters to make money when they sell outside of the euro area. So that could be one reason why this is the way it is, and why, if you look at the S&P, it's just rallying on. It doesn't actually care too much about the exchange rate. If anything, maybe it's the other way around. The dollar weakening and the S&P 500 gaining because of that. All I know from a purely technical perspective here is that the market is trading sideways, and then maybe down at 13,000 or something like that. I think traders will be more willing to rebuild their positions. The alternative is that if we take out the high, this market could go take out the high and up and down. But at that point, this is going to be a low. So at that point, we can work with this as some sort of a low. Right now, if we go long right now here, the last low is down here, which means that traders need to have a stop loss of about 4%, which is just a little bit too much, unless of course we think this market is going to, go substantially higher. So from that perspective, I like the dip. Okay, so let me explain to you a little bit more about what's going on in the coin market. So there's been a lot of changes. Not a lot of changes, but one big thing is that in South Korea, the government at one point said, that maybe they want to ban trading in cryptos. Now that was said afterwards that that's probably not going to happen, but what they want to do is they want to avoid anybody that is hiding money using coins, because you have some you can hide your money easier with cryptos, and that could be one reason why the market is a little bit fragile. The other thing which was out yesterday is that in China as well, they have banned ICOs, and there's in articles you can find online, they're saying that maybe they go ahead now and ban even more things. And China and South Korea, they're big players when it comes down to cryptos. I think at one point, half of the Ripple turnover was from South Korea. Now, so let me just load another window here. So I think what we need, or what's going on here, is that we're having a bigger correction in the market, which is needed. Look at the 24-hour change here in most coins. It's quite strong declines. Now, one way to kind of aggregate all of this is to use this chart at coinmarketcap.com, and it shows you the total market value of the coins. All right, this is total market with Bitcoin included. So if you look at it from like a 1 year perspective, no, this is an uptrend. This could be, and you need to focus on this little section here. Let me just do something. So here, if you look at this, this is an uptrend creating higher and higher lows, and I think a lot of people, I think it's personally, I think it's a little bit too early to see like a total decline in these coins. I think I mean, there's so many coins. I mean, if we just look at it from this perspective, I mean, if we just go back here to the first page, to give you an idea, these are coins that are listed on different exchanges, and there is, how many coins? I think last time was 1,800. Yeah, 1,450. So when I looked at this just recently, it was at 1,800. I think this was last week. Why? Because a lot of these coins, you see, is a bunch of question marks, because there's very little trading in these coins, and then they get removed from this list. But from all of these coins, like some are built to compete with Bitcoin, and then some of these are actually more like buying into a share. But what I think is that it's unlikely that, you know, all of these coins are gonna be around in the future. To give you an idea, when you know, everybody started to building cars, I think it must have been maybe 120 car makers around the world. You know, when that market exploded. And right now, I think most of the sales are dominated maybe by the top 5 or top 6. And it's the same thing here. So if that's the case, I don't remember the ratios exactly, but it means that maybe 80% of these 4,000 of these 1,450 coins are going to be around, which means that maybe we'll have about 120 of these coins around in total, but most likely the majority of everything is going to be in Bitcoin and some of the top 4 really. So I don't think though that day has come yet, that's gonna be that day. I think there's a lot of people that are gonna look to buy. So if you look at this, you have a major low here down here. So what happened is that we had that push here in January, and then you had a decline. And if you know a little bit of Elliott waves, this is like an A, B, C move. And I think down here around this low, as long as this market is above this low, which is about market cap of about 500 billion, I suspect the market will probably gonna go up like this eventually. I think what I'm gonna be doing, let me see if I can load that page again. I'm gonna be taking it a little bit of a different approach. Well, not a different approach, but I'm gonna wait for the market to stabilize. So I'm looking for a big bullish day where maybe the Bitcoin is gonna jump with maybe 20% or something like that on that day, and then I'm gonna attack it from the other side. So again, this is the market. So I think it might go up a bit, maybe do like this, and then maybe down. So we'll create this series of lower highs, and then when the market swings to the upside like that here, I think that's when I'm gonna start to start to get really involved here, looking to build up a position as one could have done in the past. That's one way of doing it if you're trading the way I am. There's other people I know that, you know, been buying, they've been long for like ages, like buy and hold, and every time we have these sort of declines, they just buy more of them. And you know, that as well works. There are different strategies, you know, buy and hold, but of course it comes back to what I said in the past, and that is that at one point I think some of these coins are just gonna be forgotten and not traded. Okay, good morning, Vasilios. So I got a question here. Says, please somewhere put us a DAX chart. So yeah, so this is the DAX chart. So the trend is bullish about 12,732. down here, and I do think traders are probably going to look to buy at the lows here, and then for this to head to the upside. If you guys are interested in DAX charts and charts in general, check out here. You have in essence the same sort of charts that I have. You even have them with this nice little trick Captain logo in the bottom, so you can check that out. This is the Forex performance widget that gives you an idea of what's going on in the market. Right now, if you click on the dollar's up with 78 pip against the New Zealand dollar, and then 29 pip against the Aussie. So by looking at this, you can quickly have an idea of where the action is. Click on the New Zealand, you can see here again very weak against the dollar, and then very weak against the Canadian dollar. So check it out if you want to know more about that. And then of course we have a bunch of other cool tools here: correlation studies, Fed rate hike probability calculator, volatility, Forex performance, and even a classic old currency converter. Okay guys, we're gonna wrap things up now. I want to finish up. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and thanks so much for your support. If you are on YouTube, don't forget to like the videos, and if you are on Twitter, don't forget to retweet. Thank you so much for following us, and thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:15 a.m. Thank you.